back and welcome back to the Horror Message YouTube channel. Welcome back to the last CD collection update of the year. This CD collection update number 16. I was originally gonna wait for this to the next year, but I realized I got some time to spare. Might as well talk about all the CDs that I got for my birthday and some for Christmas and some CDs I bought for myself and other goodies. So, and this time it might be a bit longer video because as you can see by what I have here, I have a shitload of CDs this time around. I think I'm close to 19 CDs this time around. Usually I like to make the video every other 10 CDs, but I decided to wait for get more couple CDs so I can show you guys more goodies I have, and I'll try my best to not talk a lot on the CDs because I have a lot more stuff to talk about this time. But let's get into what I got throughout this holiday season, which I hope you guys had a really great time with your families. We're still almost there to New Year, so by the time I'm recording this video, I am currently at 389 CDs. I'm 11 off to 400 CDs. Once I hit the 400 CD mark, I'm gonna do a special video where I go through my entire CD collection, go album at a time, and show off everything I've gotten once I hit the 400 mark, which hopefully comes out around January, February. But that's in the future. Let's get into the goodies I have gone for you today. So first of all, we have a lot of AC/DC albums. Since I realized that AC/DC is my favorite band of all time, I mean, if you know me for the longest time, you know they're my favorite band of all time. I realized I don't have the rest of their albums, and I wanted to get the rest of the albums I needed, and I'm still some off because I still need to rent the rest of the albums, but it's a band I'm not too worried I get them in the future. But I realized might as well get a head start on getting the rest of the albums. So of course I have High Voltage, the debut album from AC/DC in the international, because the original printing of High Voltage with TNT came out in '75, with both studio albums were matched into one album, and some of the tracks from those Australian versions were later released in the '74 Jailbreak EP. But of course, High Voltage, Bon Scott, Angus, Malcolm, what more can I say? I mean, it's a long way to the top, Rock and Roll Singer, TNT, The Jack, High Voltage, songs y'all should already know, and it's a fucking classic among AC/DC albums. Next up, the follow-up to sophomore album, of course, we have Dirty Deeds Done Dirt Cheap. It's Dirty Deeds Done Dirt Cheap. I mean, songs like the title track, Right On, Big Balls, Problem Child, which in later editions, Problem Child was released in the Let There Be Rock album in some parts of the US, some parts of the Canada printing, and the Australian printing. Squealer, Right On, again, sort of a ballad, even though these are really known for ballads. They have a couple of ballads there and there, but it's Dirty Deeds Done Dirt Cheap. What more can I say? Power Rage. One of the albums that have a lot of people is their probably favorite AC/DC album, or probably their favorite Bon Scott album, and I cannot argue because they have songs like Rock and Roll Damnation, Down Payment Blues, Kicking the Teeth, Sin City, one of my favorite tracks, Riff Raff. I mean, it's hit after hit after hit with AC/DC, even though the joke is like AC/DC has written 11 same studio albums, but the fact is they've written 15 to 16 studio albums. If you get that joke, I'll love you forever. But it's Power Rage. You know it's Power Rage. Next up, in my opinion, one of the most underrated AC/DC albums, personally, Flick on the Switch. This was released right after For Those About to Rock, so, you know, after the Back in Black era, Post About to Rock, AC/DC wanted to kind of more or less keep that same energy, and I think they did a pretty good job with songs like Rising Power, Nervous Shakedown, Badlands, Brain Shake, This House is on Fire, a banger of the album. I wish AC/DC would, you know, play more songs of this album because they're pretty good tracks, which that's another reason why I got more AC/DC, because hopefully next year they begin a tour, and I've never seen AC/DC live. I want to see them live and probably have the chance to meet Brian and Angus, since they're my idols. But you know, it's a long shot, but hey, you never know, stranger things have happened. Another one of the most underrated AC/DC albums, and one of the albums that a lot of people have seen kind of ranked the lowest, Fly on the Wall. This was the first album that the band, specifically Angus and Malcolm, tried to produce themselves. And yeah, you can kind of see that the production was one of the greatest. But it has some killer track albums. I mean, the title track, First Blood, Stand Up, Stand for the Man, Back in Business. I don't care what they say about AC/DC and Fly on the Wall. This was a really great album. You know, my personal opinion. Next up, it's not really an album in AC/DC, but sort of a studio album. Of course, I'm talking about AC/DC Who Made Who, which this was the soundtrack for the Maximum Overdrive movie, which was directed by Stephen King. Yeah, the Stephen King film, which when you have horror and metal, and specifically rock with AC/DC in a movie, you already sold me on that. This album only has 3 original tracks. The title track and the 2 instrumentals, which is DT and Chase the Ace. The rest of the songs are songs from previous albums, of course. You Shook Me All Night Long from Back in Black, Sing the Pink from Fly on the Wall, Ride On from Dirty Streets, Hell's Bells from Back in Black, Shake Your Foundations from Fly on the Wall, and of course For Those About to Rock for Those About to Rock. Again, it's AC/DC. I pretty much am a fan of anything AC/DC has ever released, so another album to the collection. And the last album, this was one of the last albums that I think Malcolm wrote before his untimely passing, and before that leaving the band due to his illness. Of course, I had talking about Rock or Bust, and I gotta say, the holographic on this album, just fucking look at it. Another reason why physical media is king. You cannot get this in streaming. I mean, come on, how fucking cool is that? The fucking animation of it. But another one of those albums that really has a really good praise. I mean, the title track was great, especially the music video. We have all the fans surrounding the band. Play Ball, which, if I remember correctly, that was the theme song for the either 2013 or 2014 Major League Baseball, the league series, the finals. I don't remember. I think if anyone out there is a huge baseball fan, let me know down in the comments when this song was released around this time. But I think it was around the finals. I think it was the Cardinals who won that World Series, if my research is correct. But also down the track, Rock the Blues Away, Dogs of War. That's a really underrated track from this album. Emotion Control. Again, I can blab about AC/DC the entire fucking day. This is another reason why they're my favorite band of all time. Next up, we have 2 albums from the same band that were given to me by Christmas by my good old buddy Levi, aka Thrash Medic 99. Of course, I'm talking about Aspects, with the subtitled Aspects, and of course, On the Wings of Inferno. So, before listening to these 2 albums, I mostly have heard, of course, the Mark Van Buren stuff. Of course, being The Rack, Last One on Earth, and of course, the later stuff when he came back to the band. I was iffy at first when I started to realize that the other albums in between weren't Martin on vocals. And when they got these 2 for Christmas, I was like, you know what, this is a great opportunity for me to get more into the non-Martin Van Buren stuff of Aspects. And I gotta say, these 2 albums were really actually good. Really doomy at times. I didn't realize that an album like the subtitle is probably doomier than most of the albums that Aspects released later on with Martin. Of course, it doesn't come in close to something like Last One on Earth, but still the subtitle has really great tracks like Prelude of the Unhome Value, Till Death Do Us Apart, probably my favorite track of the album. And then of course, On the Wings of the Inferno kind of already made me kind of want to listen to the album because of the album cover, and of course the title track On the Wings of the Inferno made me think of something like Dante's Inferno, something epic, doomy, because its aspects is kind of more death doom. And I was real pleased with it, especially with the song like Ways of Fire, for the Ascend, the title track, and even the instrumental, which is kind of funny. The instrumental is 666 July 6, June 6, 2006, which this was released back in 2000, so kind of a foreshadowing what will later happen in the future. But it's still amazing. There's still amazing albums. Honestly, people, if you haven't heard the Aspects non-Martin Van Buren stuff, Man, or whatever. Listen to them, people. You will really like them. I was on the iffy side of it, but my God, it changed my fucking mind on them. Listen to them, people. Trust me, you'll fucking love it. This next one, I actually just came back from Goodwill, which lately I've been going to Goodwill for the past couple of weeks, and they have some pretty good stuff for a decent price. And this one was one of the albums that I just came back. Literally, as I was recording this video, I really went to Goodwill and came back and recorded this. So of course, I'm talking about Bob Seger and the Silver Bullets with Night Moves. So Night Moves was the album that sorta made Bob Seger what Bob Seger is right now. Sorta helped the way of him going up the ladder. Of course, we have songs like Rock and Roll Never Forgets, Mary Lou, the title track, Main Street. It's good old classic rock and roll, good old classic rock that whenever you have a party, you might want to jam this album. And again, it's Bob Seger. Bob Seger really doesn't have a bad album. I mean, sure, the previous stuff before Night Moves is kind of there, but you know, it's Bob Seger. It's one of those artists that really, at the time in the 70s and 80s, was at the top of the game, and later on released actually more phenomenal albums. But this was the album that a lot of people have said this was the starting point of Bob Seger's rise to stardom, and I kind of agree with that statement. Let me just put the stack right here. Now the next stack, we have a couple more CDs. Of course, this next one is it's an album that really the band is a band that I listened to religiously in middle school and high school. And then my friends out there who will know me back in the day know that this band was my fucking jam. Thanks to my best friend Chris in high school and middle school, he got me into this band, and this album is my favorite of this. Of course, I'm talking about Breaking Benjamin with Dear Agony. Dear Agony was the album that got me into the band. Even though some people think Phobia was the album that got me, no. Dear Agony was the album that got me into the band. We have songs like Give Me a Sign, Anthem of the Angels, is probably my favorite song of the album. The title track, I Will Not Bow. Literally, Breaking Benjamin was my go-to band in middle school. I mean, religiously, which took me long enough to finally get to Breaking Benjamin into the collection, and hoping in the future I can get the rest of the stuff. And the good thing about this edition that I actually found on eBay for a decent price is the 2 discs. The first disc is the album, and the second disc is actually a DVD. And the DVD comes with some music videos, which I kind of found fucking cool. Of course, the videos in the album are Polaramers for the first album, So Cold, Sooner or Later, Diary of Jane, Breathe, and I Will Not Bow. I wish that they had the music video for Give Me a Sign, because that's, again, Give Me a Sign, one of my favorite songs, Breaking Benjamin in general. But I was fucking surprised when this came with a double CD, and it's Breaking Benjamin, people. This was the last album after the breakup, before the reunion, a couple of years later. So to me, this album has a lot of middle school, high school memories for me. Sort of like when someone went to the emo phase. Even though I never had an emo phase, I could consider Breaking Benjamin my emo phase, if that makes perfect sense. But I'm just jambling, but let's move on. Another album that I actually found on Goodwill, Creed with Weatherheart. I've been really getting more to Creed, especially since the reunion tour is happening next year, and I fucking hate myself for not getting fucking tickets to see Creed, even though one of my cousins is a much bigger Creed fan. He also wanted to get tickets, but I think he did, but I hope he did. But you know, Weatherheart was the last, was it the last album? Yeah, it was the last album before the breakup, and then of course the reunion album in 2009. So this album is really, for a lot of people, this was the album that got a lot of people into Creed. Like songs like One Last Breath, the title track, Lullaby, My Sacrifice, the big song of the album, especially with that music video back in the 90s. It was like, whoa, you know. So for a lot of people, Creed was their outgoing band that got them into more rock. Even though Creed, yeah, some people say they're mostly Christian band. I really don't see the Christian thing, even though I'm not really Christian. I'm a Catholic, but it's fucking Creed, people. I don't care what you people get a shit about Creed. It has some good songs and good albums. Another album that I actually got this one on Amazon for as a kind of Christmas gift for myself. Of course, I'm talking about the second studio album from Crosses with Good Night, God Bless, I Love You, Delete. Delete, delete, delete for all you Matt Hardy fans. But this album came out in this year, 2023, and this was in my top 10 albums of the year because this album is not really metal. If you know me, I really listen to a lot of metal and rock, but most of the times there's some six-weight album I listen from time to time, and this was sort of in that kind of realm. But you know, when the album cover made me kind of want to listen to the album, if you kind of see it there. But of course, this is Chinos from Deftones, other side project, and my God, this album has some really, really great tracks from Pleasure to Last Rides, Ghost Ride, Invisible Hand, the title track, even the rap section of Big Youth, even though the rap section kind of made me kind of iffy about it. Girls Float, Boys Cry, we have Robert Smith from, of course, The Cure, making an appearance on the album. I don't care what people say about non-metal stuff. Listen to this, you will fucking love it, people. I'm not joking. This wasn't in my top 10 albums of the year for 2023. And it would have been higher if more releases would have been better, but just look at the album cover. I mean, just look. Just when you open it, I mean, come on. That's fucking cool, people. I mean, look. Just saying. Next up, we have Dokken with Under Lock and Key. This is my favorite Dokken album of all time because it has one of my favorite songs of all time, Will the Sun Rise, which is an underrated Dokken song and one of the songs I jam to religiously around this time. Not only that, has Unchained the Night, The Hunter, In My Dreams, Jaded Heart. Dokken, the classic Dokken albums, of course, from Breaking the Chains to Back to the Fourth, I think. I don't remember. It's the one with Dream Warriors. Has everything. It's classic Dokken, people. Classic Dokken. Again, this was the album that got me more into Dokken. What more can I say about Dokken? It's fucking Dokken, you know? This next one was a gift, was a Christmas, well, not a Christmas, a birthday gift from our friend Hannah from the Horseman Podcast, which, Hannah, if you're watching this, thank you so much for this birthday present. Of course, I am talking about the fourth studio album from depressive, suicidal, black metal band None with Inevitable. This was on another album that was in my 2023 albums of the year list, and I gotta say, this album is way better than The Damn Chill Live. Even though The Damn Chill Live is a phenomenal album, this album blows it off the parks. I feel that the guys in None took the time to create a more atmospheric, mind-blowing, off-the-charts album that, you know, really stood the test of time. And the last track on the album, Rest, is phenomenal. It's like close to 10 minutes. It'll take you on a ride. It'll make you fucking cry, because it made me cry once or twice from the album. But my God, listen to None. Listen to the other stuff. Actually, None is one of those modern depressive suicidal black metal bands that should get more praise, even though I don't think they'll ever fucking tour, because some people say it's a two-man project. They're not touring, it's a one-man project. I don't fucking know, but listen to None. You will not be disappointed in that regardless. Next up, another, this was one of the Christmas presents, that, again, Hannah gave me for Christmas. Of course, I'm talking about the brand new studio album from Primordial, How It Ends. So my history of Primordial is well documented. Primordial was one of the bands that everyone from the Horseman Podcast got me more into, especially to the Nameless Dead. And I was really excited when they announced a new album, and another album that was in my 2023 albums of the year list. This album, it's exceptional, especially if you know the Primordial sound. Usually 1 to 2 takes. When you have songs like How It Ends, Victory Has 1,000 Fathers, Death in an Orphan, Nothing New Under the Sun, even the instrumental Tradisunta, I think that's how you pronounce it. I mean, this pretty much gave me World War I vibes, especially the lyrics if you listen to the album really carefully. So I can kind of say that this album is exceptional for Primordial. Primordial is one of those bands that, again, doesn't have a really bad album. They are from good to excellent to phenomenal albums. Phenomenal, like I said, to the Nameless Dead, which is probably their best album. But How It Ends is an exceptional follow-up to the previous album, which was a good album. I actually listened to it. I need to get that eventually in the collection. Or maybe I do. Yeah, I need to get in the collection. And hopefully I can get more Primordial in the future. This next one has kind of sort of a special heart nowadays, because it's a soundtrack from one of my now favorite movies, thanks to one of my friends, Alicia, who she kind of got me more into the movie, even though I kind of already saw the movie a long time ago. And of course, I am talking about the Queen of the Damned soundtrack. Yes, there are some soundtracks in my collection that I gotta have. Of course, I have the Crow soundtrack. I gotta have eventually the Blues Brothers soundtrack. But the Queen of the Damned soundtrack, my god, I haven't realized how many good songs are in this album. Of course, the most notable ones, Deftones, Change the House of the Flies, They Surf Down with the Sickness, Cold by Static X. But it has some more songs that a lot of people really don't know, of course, like the song, which one is it? Not Meant for Me, which is performed by Wayne Static from Static X. Forsaken, performed by David from Disturbed. Or a song like Redeemer, performed by Marilyn Manson. Talk about gothic metal, gothic rock at the time in the 90s. This was the movie to watch, especially being that, of course, the Queen of the Damned, Aaliyah, passed away before actually seeing the movie come to life, which is kind of sad that she couldn't have the opportunity to see her work in the movie. But it's kind of awesome that the soundtrack and the movie kind of left a legacy upon gothic metal culture and in movies, because this is not your traditional vampire film. And I didn't know this. This was supposed to be, of course, the original book, Queen of the Damned, is a continuation of the Interview with the Vampire series, which I thought there must be some connection between the Interview with the Vampire movie and the Queen of the Damned movie, which they're two completely different movies. There's no correlation, no connection, which kind of sucks, but still, that's how the freaking soundtrack on this album, fucking phenomenal. Again, brings you back to the 90s, gothic metal at its finest, some new metal, some alternative. What more can I say about Queen of the Damned? We're almost done with 2 albums to go, and this is the final gift that I got from Hannah. Of course, I'm talking about Sostofir with the album Svartir Sandar. I'll say it once, I'll say it again. I don't know what the hell Sostofir are singing. I don't know Icelandic for shit. But the music and lyrics kind of make it up for it, especially with the song Fakar from the first CD. Because this album is a 2-parter. First parter is Ansvar, second part is Golak. And each section has 6 songs. Of course, in the second album, 3 of the 6 songs were instrumentals. But in the first album, Farha was the song that kind of got me more into Sostofir. Especially if you translate Farha, it translates to, I think, ocean. But post-metal, black metal, some of the most beautiful instrumental lyrics you're gonna listen to, even though I don't understand what the hell they're singing. The music kind of does it for itself, and it's fucking gorgeous, Sostofir, which I think Hannah has kind of got me the majority of Sostofir albums throughout the years, so I wonder what next year's gonna get me. Surprise, surprise, I didn't have an idea what's gonna be. And the last album in the collection, in this CD collection update, of course, we have Third Eye Blind with the subtitle debut, Third Eye Blind. Another album that I actually got on Goodwill. Again, Goodwill has some really good stuff. If you go into your local Goodwill, yeah, it depends on your Goodwill. Some of the good stuff might already be gone, but my god, for getting this album for $1, what the hell? That was a fucking steal. Especially if you grew up in the 90s to 2000s. Third Eye Blind is one of those bands that really isn't really get talked about most, but it should get a the recognition, especially songs like How It's Going to Be, I Want You, Losing a Whole Year. Kind of, if you kind of more or less read the lyrics, kind of a bit of foreshadowing for the pandemic and how we're losing the whole year happened and all that. But God of Wine, which is the longest track of the album, I think close to like 10 minutes more or less. Good for You. Again, kind of alternative rock, a mix of punk, a bit of not really new wave, but more of a like kind of punky punk, not pop punk, but in a good way, kind of like Arcane Trio, even though Arcane Trio way different, but sort of around that sound to it. But it's a really good album. Like honestly, give it a listen, especially if you're more into the 90s, 2000s kind of alternative rock, punk, pop punk, whatever you want to call it, kind of sound to it. You would actually enjoy the album. And that's it for this video, guys. I hope you guys really enjoyed this video. Like I said, this is gonna be the last City Collection update of the year. Hopefully by 2024 I can bring you guys more videos into the channel. Hopefully I can reach the 400 mark sooner rather than later. And I got some ideas for future videos, especially bringing somebody into the show for a couple of videos, but it depends on how its scheduling goes. But hope you guys have a good year, a good 2024. Stay safe, everyone, and until next time, stay metal.